Hey TCS TV viewers, it's Evelyn coming to you live from the camera store. I'll be your host tonight. We are going to be tuning in today to a live stream on how community can make us better photographers with Shane Turgan. And this is an interesting topic, and I think it's an important one, especially as we get into the colder season. And I think a lot of us can definitely benefit from being surrounded by community, and photography is just such a great way to do that. So before I introduce our guests, I wanted to mention a few things. One of them is, because we're the camera store, I have to give a plug that today is actually the last day of a lot of our Black Friday sales. Now, a lot of deals started early, and it was nice that we went past, Cyber Monday, Black Friday. So if you missed some of that, make sure that you head over to the website after the live stream tonight and do any of the last minute Black Friday deal shopping. There's lots of bonus items. There's some pretty significant rebates on some of our major manufacturers. And of course, if you are shopping online, whether you're local or you're anywhere across Canada, any orders over, or most orders over $99 are free shipping. So definitely check that out. And I also want to mention that tonight we have a lot of work happening behind the scenes. We have our TCS TV Live Dream Team tonight that consists of Jeff and Gary. We haven't had Gary in a while, so we're very happy to have him working behind the scenes. And part of what I love most about doing these live streams, we're talking about community today, and that includes talking to all of you. So make sure that you're in the chat. If you're logged into YouTube, you can ask questions. Feel free to share comments, or if you have any ideas, clubs, groups, things like that that you're part of, live, put all that information in the chat. And if you have something you want to say and maybe you're not logged into YouTube or you're being a little bit shy, you can also email me. And my email address is evelyn@thecamerastore.com. And I'll do my best to keep an eye on both of those feeds for the Q&A at the end. So if you're not already familiar with our guest tonight, Shane is an award-winning nature photographer who focuses on landscapes, night sky photography. We're just talking about aurora. If you're in Alberta, you may have heard that there's going to be some aurora tonight. Wildlife. His work has been featured in Canadian Geographic Natural Landscape Photography Awards, Photolife magazine, and by Black Rapids, CBC, and he's also on the short list of, oh, actually, I wonder if he has some information. But he's also keen for sharing both his art and also mental health benefits of nature photography and passing on his experience and knowledge to others. And in 2022 and 2023, we also were able to participate in a conference that he founded called the Light Chasers Nature Photography Conference in Pincher Creek, Alberta. It was amazing. And so we're going to touch on that a little bit tonight as well. But welcome, Shane. Thanks so much for joining us on TCS TV Live. Yeah, so tonight we're talking about community, and it already looks like we got a great group of people here on the live stream. So welcome everyone. It's always great to see where everyone's tuning in from. Looks like we have some people from Saskatchewan. It looks like we have lots of great stuff here. So I'll let you take it away and share all about community.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me, and always thank you to the Camera Store for your support of the Light Chasers Conference. That doesn't happen without our great partners, so we're always thrilled to have you and have you back on board this year. Yeah, so my presentation tonight is Together We're Better, How Community Can Make Us Better Nature Photographers. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and we're going to get right into it. Just get the all clear from the tech team back there that we're good to go.
We are good to go. Looking good.
Good to go. All right. So I just want to start off by talking a bit about the epidemic of loneliness. So in 2023, May 2023, this year, the Surgeon General of the United States declared a loneliness epidemic in America. It says, our epidemic of loneliness and isolation has been an underappreciated public health crisis that has harmed individual and societal health. Our relationships are a source of healing and well-being hiding in plain sight, one that can help us live healthier, more fulfilled, and more productive lives. Given the significant health consequences of loneliness and isolation, we must prioritize building social connection the same way we have prioritized other critical public health issues, such as tobacco, obesity, and substance use disorders. Together, we can build a country that's healthier, more resilient, less lonely, and more connected. And while that's from the United States Surgeon General, that is a global problem, certainly. Connection in photography. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services also says that while the epidemic of loneliness and isolation is widespread and has profound consequences for our individual and collective health and well-being, there is a medicine hiding in plain sight: social connection. And then I say that nature photography has a profound ability to heal. When combined with community, we are empowered to become more adventurous, more engaging, and healthier, more connected social citizens, with the added bonus of improving our photography skills in the process. So who am I and why is this important to me? Well, first and foremost, I'm a dog dad. That's my old pup, Quinn. She comes on all my adventures with me. She's chased storms. She's hung out under the night sky. She's seen amazing landscapes. She's barked at moose that are coming towards the Jeep. She's a great adventure pal, and she just turned 14. She's my best bud. I'm also an event organizer. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am a mental health advocate, and I am a nature photographer. So for the event organizer, I've been organizing events for over 20 years. I started putting on punk rock shows way back when I was in my early 20s. I then moved on to form the Edmonton Collectible Toy and Comic Show, which is an event that I ran for 10 years before putting that to bed and co-founding the Edmonton Expo. We talk about community and connection, and one really great thing is Gary, who's working behind the scenes tonight at the Camera Store, is somebody that I've known for years through the Expo. So it's wonderful to have these crossovers and these connections. I was a general manager of the Edmonton Expos for 6 years. And in that period, I also founded an event called the Edmonton Collector Con, which is a toy and comic book show that runs 3 times a year. And I'm the founder of the Light Chasers Nature Photography Conference. If you notice with all of those things, they're all also based around community. There's community in punk rock, there's community in toy collecting and being a nerd, and there's community in being a nature photographer. The serial entrepreneur, I operate from the philosophy that many streams make a river, and that's my income philosophy because I don't want to have a real job. So I have several businesses that keep me busier than a real job is, but I don't have to be stuck in a desk or a cubicle all day long. I'm a toy and comic book dealer and collector. I own a tattoo shop in Edmonton called Shades of Grey Tattoo. I'm not a tattooer. A lot of people think that I am, but I'm not. I'm an event organizer. I'm an event photographer and concert photographer. I'm a martial arts instructor and I'm an author. I wrote 2 books on Star Wars tattoos called The Force and the Flesh. I'm also a mental health advocate. Why? Because all of the above, in being a very business minded person and having all that stress and anxiety and high degree of responsibility, led me to have fall into a very severe depression that culminated in 2012. I give talks. I've done one for the camera store on nature photography for better mental health because it was nature photography that ultimately saved my life. Discovering that passion for outdoors, for being outside, what nature can do for our health was something that was hugely beneficial to my life, and I like to pass that on. So it's something that I talk about either through giving talks at camera clubs or different things, as well as leading nature photography for better mental health walks here with McBain Camera in Edmonton. So the photographer, as Evelyn said, I've been published by Canadian Geographic, Photo Life magazine, the National Landscape Photography Awards. I was shortlisted in 2022 for the Astronomy Photographer of the Year, and I've been published in many other places. I'm an ambassador for f-stop and an educator for Case Filters. I like to consider myself a nature photography generalist, which means I like to shoot everything. I don't want to specialize in one thing because I just like being outside and I like taking pictures of everything outside. For me, my biggest thing is night sky photography, storm chasing and storm photography, general landscapes, wildlife, small scenes and abstracts. And I'm also, as I mentioned earlier, a concert photographer. I'm the house photographer for the River Cree Resort and Casino here and photograph all of their concerts. I was asked by my good friend Mark Jinks a few years ago, if you could only do like one type of photography, what would it be? And I was like, night skies. Right away, I said night skies. But I think as the years have gone on, that interplays between storms because I just absolutely love storm chasing. Between the two, I'm not really sure which is my favorite. I guess it depends on the season. I'm just going to go through some of my photos here so you can see some of my work in all of these different genres. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each image, but I'm happy to answer questions afterwards if you guys want. This one's a nice one because it combines nights and storms. Love shooting nocturnal lightning. That was a crazy night just outside of Calgary, actually. And the other one is Aurora up in the Northwest Territories. This was one of the craziest storms that I caught this year. It was actually my last storm chase of the year this year and was just absolutely incredible. Supercell structure coming down at me, firing crazy bolts. This is an insane quadruple decker shelf cloud from just outside Edmonton earlier this year. I'm also showing some images that I haven't shown yet that'll be up on my upcoming website. This is one of them. Love just general landscapes, being outside, you know, catching the light. Waterfalls, who doesn't love photographing waterfalls? Wildlife. This was a crazy moment last October 2022 of these massive bull elk just started swimming across a lake and was actually, I think, realized he bit off a bit more than he could chew with that. You can see the bit of the terror in his eyes. Bears and foxes, moose and owls, all things I love to photograph. Abstract scenes, more small scenes, contemplative scenes within the landscape, things that I really enjoy. And again, concert photography. So I'm going to be straight and upfront that I was absolutely terrible when I started photography. This is one of my early night sky photos. And yes, the stars are sharp, but I knew nothing about composition. I really had no idea what I was doing. And it made it even harder because I actually started with night sky photography. My original interest when I was going through my depression and things like that is I was taking pictures of scenes with my iPhone. And that was drawing me into nature more and more. But the one thing that I couldn't take pictures of with my iPhone was the stars. So I went from an iPhone 4 to a Canon 1DX, which was a very steep learning curve. And essentially, I needed help along the way. It was through friendship, connection, and community that I was able to become a much better photographer. And we're going to go into a bit of that tonight. But before we do that, why do we need community? So community in the grander psychological sense provides belonging, support, and identity. It gives us the perception of similarity to others, an acknowledged interdependence with others, a willingness to maintain this interdependence by giving to or doing for others what one expects from them, and the feeling that one is part of a larger, dependable, and stable structure. That was a quote from Seymour Sarasin, who was a psychologist who studied the psychological community psychology. People who are more socially connected to family, friends, or their community are happier, physically healthier, and live longer with fewer mental health problems than people who are less well connected. That's from mentalhealth.org.uk. So my first taste of community, real deep, meaningful community, actually came from the international Star Wars community. So when I was a really, really active toy and comic book collector, Star Wars was one of the main things that I collected. And I actually started like the first community for people with Star Wars tattoos. That grew into an archive and a website that was getting like 30,000 unique hits a month, which turned into me doing Star Wars tattoo related events with Lucasfilm at their big Star Wars conventions, doing Star Wars tattoo related licensed merchandise with Lucasfilm. And between that stuff, well, and then the books that I wrote, between doing the tattoo stuff and being heavily active in the vintage Star Wars collecting community, all of this taught me the importance of being part of something bigger. The benefits to it were that my collection grew in leaps and bounds because I had far more people to interact with and buy from and purchase and trade with. I built a very strong reputation. I built a strong brand with The Force and the Flesh, which was my books and the tattoo stuff. I spoke at large conferences all around the world. It helped me build a local community because of the reputation that I was building, which helped me build the expos and things like that. I traveled the world because of it, and I gained some of my closest friends and connections that transcend collecting. Even to this day, there are people from that era of my life who are my closest friends that I would do anything for. These are just some pictures of the large community groups that we had. Whether it was the tattoo community or the collecting community, we would travel around the world together and we would all meet up and hang out and just, it was like a global family. And that's something that I just felt so important to me and still to this day is very important to me, whether it's through photography or through all of this stuff. So in 2012, I began transitioning away from collecting. There were events in my life and the mental health stuff that was just leading it to not being very something that I was super engaged in anymore. In 2015, I started in photography, but I had no community in photography whatsoever. I also had no idea what I was doing, as I mentioned earlier. I was lost and I craved that community connection. So I set out to build my own photography community. How did I do that? Well, social media was a very different beast 10 years ago. There were no algorithms, there were no ads, there were no bots, there was limited influencer culture. Art was valued more than consumerism was, and it was easier to connect with others in meaningful ways. So by leaving comments, by reaching out to local photographers and chatting with them about different things, everyone was way happier on social media. Everyone was way more engaged on social media. And so that was a way for me to connect early on with some local photographers who since went on to be very good friends. And connect I did. I was going on all kinds of adventures. It was very new to me. I was so enthusiastic about learning photography, but even more enthusiastic about getting out in nature because nature was healing me. We are of nature. We need that. We need that connection. And so having these friends to go out with and on these adventures with was amazing. Some of the people that I connected with early on was Mark Jinks, who has become, a very, very close dear friend, and I've adventured all over with. Christian, who moved back to Germany. Leonard Brevert, we would always go chasing Aurora. Rocky Mountain Scrambler, Bridget, and Jasper. These early friends and these early connections were just fantastic. Jeff Wallace, another really dear friend who, we'd go out, and soon I started that impulse I have within me to organize events and organize get-togethers and things like that started to take over with the photography. And I started organizing some big group outings. So I'd get, 5 to 10 Alberta photographers that I was connecting with and good friends with. And hey, we're going to go to Jasper for the weekend, and we'd all rent campsites and we'd get out there and we'd hang out and we'd just build community. We'd immerse ourselves in the photography. We'd trade tips and tricks. We'd learn from each other, and then we just enjoy one another's company. And so for me, early on, building community within photography was hugely important. And by doing these types of things, I was feeling that connection, and I was feeling what I had in other communities. But, everyone's schedule starts to get busy. Everyone's lives change, and organizing these type of group outings was getting a little more challenging to do. And then that whole thing hit, this pandemic that we're all still reeling from, whether it's through, our mental health or the implications of things or the impact that it had on our careers or our businesses. It's a heavy thing that we're still haven't even begun to understand and unravel the impacts on our lives from the pandemic. But one thing was true, that 2020 brought for a lot of us the return of isolation, the return of loneliness, the return of depression, the return of anxiety. And it was bringing those things about because we were isolated from our community. We were isolated from our families. But during COVID, I used that time to restructure my businesses and to build some new ideas. And one idea that I had was creating the Light Chasers Conference, which we referenced earlier. So the conference was initially founded just on 3 principles. Those principles were education, exploration, and community. The big thing that I knew that I wanted is I wanted to have speakers who were coming out that, people looked up to and maybe couldn't interact with on a normal level. So we'd bring these speakers out to them. That was, the education component. The exploration that's held in Pincher Creek, which is one of the most amazing, hubs in southern Alberta for, being right in the prairies, but literally where the prairies crash into the mountains. So it's such an incredible area that's rather underexplored in terms of Albertan landscape photography. So putting it somewhere that was new to people was very important. And of course, the community component. Right out of the gate, community was really important for me in bringing people together, in getting us off of these devices and having us interact in person, whether that was through after hours things or, group sessions. And really, when I figured out that I wanted to do the conference, I didn't know exactly how it was going to go. And the first year was really feeling it out as we went along. Over the last 2 years, it's grown to be so much more than just these 3 concepts. It is 3 full days. We have over 40 hours of programming. Our Saturday alone, the programming starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 1 a.m. on Sunday morning, nonstop programming. We have 12 amazing presenters from all over the world, mostly Canada, but we have presenters from other places as well. We have a brand expo with all of our amazing partners. So it's a separate room this year coming up where we've got all of our brand partners, which include Sony, Nikon, Case Filters, McBain Camera, the Camera Store, and a couple other new ones that are signing on board. We've got some, incredible opportunities for people to interact one-on-one with their favorite brands and their reps. We have field sessions that take place all around the local area. We have expanded education for those people who want a little bit more. Our presenters aren't necessarily there to talk about settings and gear. They're there to more inspire and to tell their story and to get you inspired by what they do. So we offer expanded education opportunities for people to learn about different subjects. We have portfolio reviews, we have a photo contest, and we have more. So those are the things that people can expect when they come there. But more esoterically, Light Chasers has become a place to celebrate our love for all forms of nature photography. It is a place of equality. It is a place to give voices to those less heard in nature photography. So it's very important for me that half of our presenters are women. It's also very important to me that we're representing BIPOC and people of color and things like that we have speaking, because they're so underrepresented in nature photography that we want to hear their voices as well. It's a place to meet up with old friends. I hear from people all the time, like, this is our girls' weekend now. We're so excited every year to come out. So people are coming there to meet their friends that they might not live near, and they get to have these opportunities. It's a place to make new friends. It's a place that's supportive and positive. It's a place to be inspired and a place to grow and learn new skills. But don't take it from me. I've got a short little video that I can show you. So we'll cue that up and we'll let them roll the video. And when we come back, we'll finish talking about some stuff.
Okay. That was great. You can get back into the benefits of community.
Sounds good. Before I do that, I just want to say for those of you that got the Aurora alert, it's only KP4. You don't have to leave the presentation right now. We'll wait till that hits KP6. You can start getting ready to put pants on, but we're not quite ready to roll out for Chase Aurora just yet. It's only KP4. So let's keep going. The benefits of community to my life and photography. So it has brought to me continuous inspiration, whether that's through my friends that I get to watch succeed through their photography. That inspires me to keep going out and doing more and more and more. It has also brought me a lot of people from a larger community, international community that maybe I don't know or haven't met in person, but I get to see their work that inspires me through social media or through their books or whatever. I'm always inspired through the community that I've created. It gives me adventure companions. I was just talking with Jeff and Mark earlier about all the great adventures that we used to go on and still go on, but not as frequently as we used to, and just how much fun those adventures were. So to have people that you can continually rely on to go out and shoot with an adventure is hugely beneficial. It also, and I mentioned a little further down, but it also gives you safety in the field. By being able to go out with people, you can have some safety and peace of mind, whether it's, in case somebody gets injured or if there's crazy people out on a rural road where you're shooting Aurora. All of these things can happen while we're out there. It gives me new perspectives. By interacting with people that I may not have known before, it may teach me something new, not just about photography, but life. And that's really important. It's continued learning. I'm always learning and or teaching new tricks to my friends and vice versa, back and forth, which helps us be better photographers. The learning component is huge because you can't do photography in a vacuum. So without having other influences and other people around you, especially close-knit people, you're never going to grow and you're never going to become a better photographer without that continuous learning component. It's been so good for my mental health, and it's been so good for the mental health of others in my community because we get close and we can talk about these things that are happening in our lives, but we can also just go out and shoot and forget about those things in our lives. So having people to go out and do that stuff with is incredibly important. It creates a support network for us. I've traveled the world because of photography, much like I traveled the world because of the Star Wars community. And I'm very fortunate and lucky to be able to do those things. When we travel the world, we gain new perspectives. And it makes us more sympathetic to everything that's going on in the world. It makes us better people through travel. I became a way better photographer through all of these things. And again, much like Star Wars, I gained some of my closest friends and connections that transcend photography. I do want to talk a little bit just again about the learning and the mental health component. I talk about this in my other talk all the time, that when we learn new things, we're firing new neurons in our brain. So if we're suffering from depression or anxiety or these things, it's because our brains sometimes get stuck in a rut where we're literally just stuck in the same thought patterns over and over and over again. By being exposed to new things and learning about those new things, we're literally firing new neural pathways in our brain, which break out of some of those ruts that we get into. So learning is hugely beneficial for our mental health. And by having people around us that are teaching us and inspiring us, that's huge for our mental health. There we go. So the bottom line is that we need real community. Digital living and the overvaluing that we have in our Western society today of independence and being strong and independent is disconnecting us from the concept of community, and it's actively harming us collectively and individually. We need those bonds with other people. It's important. We have an inherent biological need to belong, and we need positive places to belong, not negative. And what I mean by that is, often you hear the concept of online interactions, of digital tribalism, where people are falling into negative things like there's so many negative movements online, and I don't want to get into those and give them any power, but there's so many bad things that are happening that you can follow and be a part of, that we need a really positive thing. That digital tribalism may feel like belonging, but it only reinforces online toxicity, not fostering real world, positive, healthy connections with one another. that's what we were based on. This concept of our Western worlds where we're like living in cities and so disconnected from one another is really only something that's been going on, in North America for 150 years tops. Previous to that, humanity for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years is based on community and togetherness. And we need to reconnect to that, especially in this post-pandemic world that we're living in. So how can you build your photo community? That's why we're here. We want to learn about community and how we can do those types of things. So we're going to go through these various things, the pros and cons. We're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about online communities, group chats, photo walks, group shoots, camera clubs, workshops, and conferences. Now, I want to note before we get into these things that your community doesn't have to be big, and it doesn't have to be inclusive of itself. What I mean by that is you can have community with several different people who don't interact. Not everything has to be 20 people talking all at once. I personally have a group chat with Jeff and Mark that I reach out to and share images with, but I also have great friends like Monica, who's, given presentations here in the past, and Will and other people that I just reach out to independently. That's my community. We may come together at certain times of the year, but it doesn't have to be that all those people all at once, all the time. It can be independent of itself. And it can be infrequent. It doesn't have to be something that you do all the time. I also enjoy shooting by myself a lot, and that's okay. It's knowing when you need community and knowing when you need time for yourself. So social media, the pros. Well, we have instant messaging with social media where we can reach out to people immediately and hopefully get a near immediate response. And whether that's a stranger that you just want to connect with or a friend, we have that opportunity to connect with people instantly. We can connect with local photographers by doing that or by commenting on their stuff. And soon we might be going out and having a shoot or meeting up for somebody with coffee and talking about photography. You can make friends around the world, just as you can with people locally. You can also use this to find new places for you and your friends to explore. So if you see something and you're like, hey, that says it's in Alberta, where is it? And look, and then you and your friends can go out there. So social media has a huge benefit for finding new locations that we want to shoot with our friends. And we can follow and connect with inspiring photographers. Now, there are, of course, cons to social media, and straight up, it's bad for our mental health. It's not good for us. It is really bad for wasting our time doom scrolling, especially in the current state of the world. We're just on there all the time. And in the process, we're wasting our life, which isn't good. And by being able to get out with our friends and do photography, we're breaking that social media cycle of wasting our life on our phones. It's also always trying to sell you something, and it's also trying to keep you addicted to the app. It's very insidious that way. It never used to be that way. As I said, it used to, sort of put art over consumerism. But now they just want to keep you on there all the time. That's what all these things are for, like broadcast channels and threads and all of this is they never want you to leave. But you have to leave, and you should go leave and go shoot and outside and do something in the outdoors and smell the roses and get off your phone. Online communities. So there's a pro in that DIY is a term that's do it yourself. That kind of sort of comes from the punk rock era, and that's something that I've applied to my whole life is DIY or die. I do it myself. I'm not going to rely on anybody else to do it for me because that way I know I'm going to get it what I need. So DIY, you can set up an online community on your own terms, whether that's a group chat or whether that's a little forum or a Discord server or something like that. You can set these up with who you want. Make sure you ask them first, because maybe some people don't want to be involved in your group, but most people might. And if it's friends, you know that it's there. A pro of an online community is that you can get instant feedback on your images through your friends. Hey, I took the shot today. What do you guys think? And you're getting that learning and that reciprocity. You can be inspired by your friends who are sending you images or those who inspire them. They might say, hey, I watched this great YouTube video with this person today. Have you ever heard of them? And they send you the link, and now you can be inspired. So you can have that communication going back and forth. And a lot of online communities, especially if you set one up yourself, are free. But there's a lot of groups on Facebook in particular that you can join that are specific to, say, Milky Way photography or storm chasing or different things. And these are free groups that you can join and you can be a part of. And that's incredible to have that resource, because some of these groups have like hundreds of thousands of people, which for better or for worse, maybe not a great thing, but some of them are small and tight knit, and you can get way more out of those smaller tight knit groups. So the cons are it's all online. There's no in-person interaction unless you're specifically, meeting up with people that you meet there. Some of them are subscription based or paid. There's the Nature Photographer Network, which is a wonderful network that is paid, but all of the top names in nature photography are on there, and they're constantly writing articles, they're interacting, they offer different reviews and things like that through that community. So the NPN is a really great way to interact with other people. There's also Offbeat, which is a great Canadian group. Dave Broshaw and Paul Ziska, wonderful people, incredible photographers. And they've got their group that is paid to be a part of, but if you take one of their workshops, you basically have a opportunity to be a member of their online community for free for life. So that's a really great opportunity to work with them. But be careful with a lot of these groups. There's a lot of online toxicity. So we really want to find the positive groups that foster positive community and not tearing people down and things like that. Group chats. So the pro, again, DIY, you can set up on your own terms with who you want. Just make sure that you ask first. You can get instant feedback on images. You can get inspired by friends or those who inspire them. Your friends can help keep you accountable. So if you have goals that you want to set out for yourself, you can do that with your friends in your group chat, where you don't have to declare everything to everyone on to your family at the Thanksgiving dinner table, or to everyone on your Facebook feed that I'm going to do this with my photography. They're like, we don't care. But this way you can do it with your friends and they can help keep you accountable. Setting up these group chats are free for you and are a great opportunity to just stay connected with your friends all the time. Cons, it's all online. There's no in-person interaction unless you're using that group chat to make dates to go out and shoot. Again, we want to encourage people to get outside as much as possible and get off their phones as much as possible. Photo walks. Again, DIY. If you want to go on a photo walk with somebody, you can set that up on your own terms. You don't have to wait for other people, but you can join somebody else's group, or you can join other opportunities. Like I said, I work with McBain here in Edmonton, and I do nature photography for better mental health walks several times throughout the year. And you can come along and join for those. The great thing is these are forcing you to get out into nature, whether you're with friends or where you're paying to go on these walks. You're getting into nature, and that's the most important thing. You're also getting exercise. Exercise is good for our brains. Community engagement is good for our brains, firing those new neural pathways, as I was talking about before, which is really, really important. You can also invite who you want. When you're doing it yourself, you can be like, hey, I want to invite all my friends and I don't want to invite that person or whatever. So you can really build your own community of people that you just want to interact with, which is hugely important for us. The only con really is that weather can be prohibitive, but I also encourage people to get out and shoot in bad weather. Bad weather creates good conditions for photography, atmospheric conditions. So we want to not be limiting ourselves just because the weather is bad. We want to get out as much as we can. Group shoots. So this is getting together with a bunch of different people and going on, say, a camping trip with everyone, or going on a big hike somewhere with people. The pros, again, DIY. You can set it up on your own terms with your friends, or maybe some friends will invite you to join their group. But the great thing is that they're free and you can do it on your own terms and find somewhere cool to go and set it up and go on an adventure. Now that can be something as super simple as, like I said before, like a nature walk, or it could be something more elaborate of like, you're all going to drive up to the Yukon and you're going to rent a helicopter and you're going to do a fly in and stay at a remote lake for a week and then fly out and do all these different things. But by doing that with a group, we can lower costs, but we can also, have that support, that safe engagement, all of those different things. We're getting exercise when we're going on group shoots. We're seeing new places. Seeing new places fires new neurons in our brains, which make us happier, healthier people. You can invite who you want on these things. They're free to a point. I mean, obviously, if you're doing expensive stuff like helicopter fly-ins, they're not free, but organizing and doing all these things is free. Again, weather can be prohibitive, but we want to embrace bad weather. Camera clubs. These are great. There's so many camera clubs across Alberta. I've had the privilege of speaking at a lot of them. And they're really great little communities in local areas that foster a love of photography. The pros are that they're local, they're in person, you're meeting people, you're getting out of the house, you're getting out of your routine, you're going to these locations where they have their camera club meets, and you're hanging out with people. You can join a camera club with your friends, so you're not going by yourself, but you'll also make new friends while you're there. A lot of the camera clubs will bring in really great guest speakers that you can learn from and be inspired by. And sometimes those are through Zoom, sometimes are those in person at the club, or sometimes they're going out into the field and doing certain shoots with that guest speaker. They have photo challenges that you can do. Sometimes they're monthly, sometimes they're annually, all these different things, but there's photo challenges which allow us to take that plunge with our photos, to get them out there. Criticism isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can make us a better photographer. They're inexpensive to join. Most have some fees, an annual fee of some sort, but they're relatively inexpensive for the opportunity to get to be involved in those types of things. One of the cons that I've heard a lot about photo clubs all around the world is the big fish, small pond symptom of people who start them, who have big egos, who may not have either the photography to back it up, or who are just so set in their ways that no other way could possibly be right. So sometimes you have to deal with big egos and big personalities at the top ends of these clubs, which can be limiting in your growth and can be a bit negative to experience. So finding a club that doesn't have that is really good. Through that, they can be limiting in growth, as I said earlier, and others in the club might be challenging. So sometimes, other people can ruin things for us, and there may be people that we have to interact with that we don't particularly enjoy. That's life, that's camera clubs, that's everything that we do. It's just something to be mindful of when we're going into those situations. Group workshops. So these are workshops where you pay to attend with a photographer that offers workshops that you're inspired by and you can learn from, and you've got, a great one-on-one or, great access to that photographer through the workshop. The pros is that we can go with our friends. We can take our community with us to these workshops and enjoy them together. But we'll make new friends while we're there. That's the whole point of doing a lot of these things, is that we'll make new friends. We'll learn new techniques, which is key. Without learning new techniques, we grow stagnant as a photographer. So by learning new things, we become better photographers. We can get feedback on the images that maybe that we're part of that workshop is a portfolio review, or the images that you take in a day, everyone reviews in the evening, and you can chat about them and you can get feedback that way. You can also take workshops in places that you've never been before, and that photographer can help you explore that location without having you to do all the legwork yourself. And again, exploring new locations fires those neurons in our brain. It gets us inspired. It gets us thinking outside of the rut that our brains get caught in, and that helps us, be a better photographer, be a better person, and benefit to our mental health. Cons, they can be cost prohibitive. Some workshops with some instructors are very, very, very expensive. Others aren't. So you can work within your budget. Again, others in the group might be challenging. You might be really excited to go do this, and there's 5 other people, and one of those other people just is a hog of the instructor's time, or is really annoying or whatever. So that's something that you do have to be mindful of, but that's just how we learn to navigate people, is part of life. Conferences. So again, the pros, we can go with friends. We'll make new friends while we're there. We'll learn new techniques. We can get feedback. We can explore new locations, and we can hear from and meet photographers who inspire us. There's so many things that are happening in a conference that really, it's all about growth. Some of the cons of conferences is that they can be cost prohibitive. One of the things that I've tried to do with Light Chasers is keep it incredibly affordable, because I want photography to be accessible to people. I think we provide incredible value for the dollar. I know comparable conferences in the States that do something similar to what we do are twice as much as what we charge for the Light Chasers conference. So they're they can be anywhere for like our event. The early bird price is 350, but some of them are upwards of, $750 US to 1,000 to 2,000 to $4,000 to attend workshop/conferences. So that is something to be mindful of. Sometimes there's lots of people. Lots of people means less attention, maybe that you want to get with certain people who are attending there. But you can also use that as an opportunity to build a little community for yourself within the conference and go out and do different things. If you have social anxiety, conferences can be hard. Um, but that's, again, how you work through that. Even me, I used to be the most social, engaging person, but now I get really overstimulated in crowds, which is a terrible thing to have happen to an event organizer. And you just have to duck away and, find moments of calm and quiet to recollect ourselves and everything like that. So that brings us to, yeah, we want to talk about conferences. We want to talk a little bit about Light Chasers and what's happening tomorrow.
So are you going to give away some information?
I am.
I saw
I'm
Monica
going
was teasing something, and I didn't know you were actually going to be sharing some very exciting information.
She was. I'm going to tease a little bit tonight, and I'm going to let you know in our next slide who our keynote speaker is. So this is 12 hours before we go live with everything tomorrow. But tomorrow at 10 a.m., Light Chasers 2024 registration goes live, and we announce all of our guest speakers. Or sorry, 8 of our 12 guest speakers. We haven't announced all of them yet. It'll be 8 of the 12, plus our field sessions that we'll be hosting are also there to peruse. The signups for that won't go live until March 15th, but you can see what the field sessions will be. Again, the event features 12 incredible speakers, a brand expo showroom, amazing field sessions, expanded education, photo contest, portfolio reviews, community connection, and more. And when I say more, it's all that esoteric stuff. I've been moved to tears at the conference. I've seen other people move to tears. I've seen incredible, inspiring things that have happened. I've seen people connect that, had weird interactions, that shouldn't have come together through grief and things like that, that have come together in healing at the conference. It's been a really amazing thing for me to build this community and be a part of the community that we built with it, because I've just seen so many wonderful, inspiring things happen at it. And for me, that's exactly what I wanted. It's one thing to know that the conference is a success, technically in the business aspect of things. But for me, the success was seeing the community that's come from it and seeing the positive impacts that it's had. And all of the people who messaged me afterwards saying that it was, a profound or a life-changing event. And that's what I want from this. That's the community that I want to build. So we've got a huge lineup this year, like our biggest lineup to date. I'm incredibly proud of the lineup that we've built, and I'm even more proud to announce that Michelle Valberg will be our keynote speaker. Michelle is a Nikon Canada ambassador. She's an Order of Canada recipient. She's been photographing for almost 40 years, and her wildlife images are some of the most powerful and profound wildlife images that I've seen. She's one of Canada's most famous photographers, and we're incredibly honored to have her coming. So that's just a taste of what we have. All 7 of the other presenters that we'll be announcing tomorrow will be available at 10 a.m. On our social media channels, on our website, and on our Facebook page. We've got a great Facebook community that people are welcome to join. Just look up Light Chasers Conference. It's the group, not the page. But you can find us at lightchasersconference.com, at Light Chasers Conference on Instagram. If you're interested in seeing more of my photography, you can find that at ShaneTurgeonPhotography.com and on Instagram at Shane_Turgeon and Shane_Turgeon_wildlife. So
That's so exciting.
yeah, I'm very excited for
Wow. Well,
tomorrow.
thank you so much for sharing who your keynote speaker is. Michelle is awesome. I saw her speak, actually was in New York at a launch, and yeah, her work is great. She's really down to earth, but she's very inspiring.
And all of the speakers that we have this year are really inspiring. I'm so excited for the lineup. Yeah, the event just keeps getting bigger and bigger and better, and I'm so proud of what we bring to everyone with it.
Awesome. Well, here, why don't we pop you back on if you want to stop sharing your screen, and then I have a few questions for you.
Sure, I like questions. Monica was also encouraging people to ask me hard questions, so I'm hopefully nobody's going to try to throw me for a loop here.
I haven't seen any hard questions. I saw there was some jokes here about what was going on with the Aurora, that it's only KP4. But we didn't seem to lose anybody, so thanks everyone for sticking around. I'm sure there'll be lots of Aurora later tonight and in the coming days. So really exciting stuff. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely throw them in here. I see there's one here from David Martin Graff. So skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is at. In this current environment, taking into consideration the monumental success of SLRs, are we witnessing a change of guard to video?
We did have a part of the one of our talks last year from Case Filters was about video and video filters. So yes, there is a huge shift towards video. I think that we're seeing across the board. Again, that's part and parcel because of what social media is sort of forcing us to do. Short form video content through reels or shorts on Instagram and things like that are becoming what the algorithms want to show everybody. They're not what I want to see, but they're what these social media companies have dictated is the future. I always say, do whatever you want to do on your terms. If you don't want to make videos, you don't have to make videos. If you don't want to make reels, you don't have to make reels. Share your photos, share what you want to share. And if you're not finding you're getting the engagement or the response that you want on social media, then create your own community through group chats or with your friends and things like that to share what you want to share, how you want to share it. We have that opportunity. We don't have to give all of our power to social media companies. Personally, I started making YouTube videos, but that's just because I was making videos, taking video out when I was out in the field. And I was like, I kind of want to, put videos together that celebrate the last few years of me on my old pup going on adventures, and or people just might want to see more behind the scenes stuff from my photos. And I went to school for video production. I went to TV school essentially, so I have that background and I like making videos, and it feels like I've come full circle with that. But that's something that I'm doing for me. I don't care if my YouTube channel gets 10,000 subscribers. I've got 100, and I think that's pretty good. There's more than I was expected. So I always say, just do what you want on your terms. If you want to make videos, make videos. If you don't want to make videos or reels, don't do it. And focus on your photography.
Definitely. And I mean, here at the camera store, we're definitely seeing there's more people that are kind of in the hybrid of they're doing a little bit of both. And so we see a lot of photographers that are kind of getting interested and dabbling in video just because I think they're kind of inundated with so much video content these days. And then also I think the reverse as well. I know like my husband, he definitely has a video background, but I definitely see him kind of being more inspired to take more photos, as our family is growing and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really great to see.
Well, the thing about video now is that like we don't need to have crazy gear. Like I'm making all my YouTube videos on my iPhone, and it's fine for what I'm doing with it. And if that inspires me to want to buy more gear and take it more seriously, cool. But if not, I don't have to go and make an investment. So it's something that we can do very easily now with the technology that we have in our hands.
Yeah, totally. The best camera is always the one you have with you when you're out and about. And I mean, these days it's like there's not really a bad camera. Like if you get any type of photo taking device in 2023 or soon to be 2024, it's going to be good quality. So there's a question here from Jonathan. If you lock down Canon for light chasers, they've been the missing player.
They have been, Evelyn.
The answer is we don't have an answer.
And I really hope that we can get Canon on board this year. As Evelyn said, they've been the one missing major brand. It hasn't been through lack of trying to get them involved. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
A good question here from Daryl, and I'm curious what your answer is, and then I actually have something very topical to add to this. But do you think with the current oversaturation of AI that there'll be a shift back to the importance of authentic stories behind an image?
I think so. And I've had this conversation with many other photographers over the years, particularly over the last year. What we're going to see happening with AI is, and in terms of photography, I think is also part and parcel of what we're experiencing through general shifts in consumerism. More and more people are moving away from stuff, from owning more and more and more stuff. And what they want through that is experience. They want authentic experience. People are spending more money on that than they are on things and stuff now. How that relates to AI is that more and more people are going to start distrusting the images that they see. A lot of people haven't been, even disclosing composites and things that they make. So we're moving into this world where, really, how are we going to be able to trust what we're seeing? And as a result, I think more people are going to, crave that need for, like you said, true stories and the story behind things and the story behind the image, but they're also going to crave more experiential opportunities to create that for themselves. I don't know why anyone would want to sit behind a computer and make an image of a storm when you could go out and chase a storm. It makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people really appreciate the authenticity of people going out and doing that sort of stuff, whether it's just general landscapes or night sky or wildlife or whatever. They want to connect with the people who are doing that for real than they are with people who are doing it on the computer. Now, maybe that's the vast majority of people aren't, but the people that are the people who are going to be your audience, the people who are going to be your customers, and the people ultimately who you're going to generate your community with and towards.
Mm-hmm. And on the technology side of things, I also just wanted to mention that we're working on a review right now on the Leica M11P, which is interesting because they're actually pioneering a new type of technology that actually puts a cryptographic signature in the file. So it's like souped up metadata that will tell you at the point of capture the camera that was taken, the date and time, and then it creates a stamp that will follow the file through its editing process. So when it goes through Lightroom, it goes through Photoshop, it'll tell you the steps of what happened to that photograph, whether it was cropped or adjustments were made. And then on news sites in the future, they've committed to be part of this initiative that viewers will be able to click on the badge and be able to see what happened to that photograph and basically identify whether or not it's a real photo. And other brands like Sony and Nikon have actually also committed to being part of this initiative. So I think in the coming years, we're actually going to see some different tools that are out there that are going to kind of combat the idea of artificial intelligence created images and be able to create that authenticity. So I think it's really cool, and it's great to see, technology having some benefits to be able to not necessarily identify an AI created image out there, because that's going to get harder and harder, but be able to put that stamp on a real image.
Well, and another interesting technology, like it's funny because as technology grows towards AI, there's technology like that that's coming around to completely stop AI as much as as much as possible. And there's also new programs that you can run your photos through that won't alter the way that it looks to a human eye, but it'll completely alter the way that it looks to a digital tool that's scraping the internet for these AI compositions, because that's all AI really is right now, is it's just scraping the internet. And if your art is the art that's being, keyworded, um, this program will skew the art digitally where it isn't changed by the human eye or how the human eye interprets it, but it'll completely be uninterpretable by AI. And I think that's amazing. That's like just a huge fu to AI, and I love it.
Yeah, with every step, there's always going to be something chasing it. So that's really cool to see. Um, I had a question that was emailed to me. Where to go here? Oh, it was on nightscape photography. What is the best way to learn? When you started your nightscape photography, did you watch videos or read books, or did you just do it?
I just did it. I had some friends who helped me along the way, but I honestly didn't discover YouTube as a reference or a resource for photography and learning until the pandemic. So I was way late coming to that party. So, but there are so many amazing nightscape tutorials on YouTube that I highly recommend that you check out, depending on the level that you want to get into. But there's so many resources from beginners to advanced nightscape photography. But for me, I just went out and did it. Um, like I said, I couldn't take those photos with my iPhone 4, so that was the first thing that I wanted to do. The biggest thing is just learning to focus in the dark, and then once you have that down pat, you can go from there. I do offer some like online stuff and in-person workshops for nightscape photography. So if you are interested, you can check out my website on those, or just drop me an email and we can chat. But yeah, going out for workshops or just going out yourself and learning online, I would recommend using all of those resources to get into it. But nothing beats just going out and trying and getting out in the field.
Awesome. And we've talked about this before, but I think that's one of the things that's really cool about the Light Chasers conference is that you're not necessarily in a seat the entire time because you have lots of activities, there's lots of things to kind of get you up and moving and actually photographing and creating together. So really love that about the conference. And so you mentioned earlier that tomorrow is when ticket sales and all that kind of stuff begin.
Yep, everything goes live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Okay, so we have the link there. We're going to post it again in the chat. So make sure you check that out if you're interested, whether you're local or you're able to come in. I know these tickets are going to sell really fast. Last year they sold very fast. So you definitely want to get on it. Is there a time that it starts tomorrow?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah,
Okay, got
everything
it. 10 a.m.
goes live.
Well, thank you.
And add what you said about, like, there's so much going on there. So those field sessions that we do, on the Saturday and the Sunday, the field sessions start at 7 a.m. and run till 9 a.m. And then we've got some stuff going on in the Brand Expo Hall. And then in the evenings, we've got sunset and we've got astrophotography field sessions. So there's literally something from sunrise to sunset to astro, that people can sign up for, and just to learn new things or to experience a new location. We don't want the whole conference just to be people sitting in a conference room. We want people to be getting out and engaging and learning and exploring and all those different things.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Shane. This was really awesome. I love just hearing some different ideas of how you can get involved and create community. We definitely see it at the camera store that, we kind of have this community in our city and then also internationally. And there's so many great ways for people to get involved. So definitely, if you miss part of it, you can actually come back and rewatch if you want to hear some more of Shane's ideas. But yeah, thanks again, Shane.
Yeah, my pleasure. I love being able to talk about things like this and mental health, because I think that, with the way that things are in the world right now, that, our mental health is only going to be, hammered on even more and more and more. And we're going to need community, whether that's through photography or just in our own life. We're going to need community to help us weather what's coming. And so, any opportunities we can to talk about or to build these sorts of things is really important to me. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about that.
Absolutely. And of course, thank you to all of you that were tuning in tonight and for sticking with us despite temptations out there right now. Of course, if you enjoyed this seminar tonight, you can subscribe to the channel to be pinged. Make sure you have notifications turned on and you'll know when we're going live with all this free educational content. We also have some events coming up that you can register for under the Camera Store website, thecamerastore.com. And don't forget to head over to the Light Chasers website. The link is in the chat and we'll also put it in the comments below. And again, thank you to our TCS TV Live Dream team, to Jeff and to Gary. Everything went smooth, which is always great to see. So they did a terrific job. And we hope to catch you guys again very soon.